Welcome to Kreatives Studio. In this tutorial, you will learn how to create the team picture to insert into a memory mate. The first thing we want to do is go to the team photo group in the memory mate and open it, and then click on Team Pick Size. This is where we're going to be placing our finished team picture. Next, we want to go and open our team picture file that was in your download. It'll be the one that's called Team. These right here are placeholders. They're grouped into rows. The first thing we're going to do is go to row 1, player 1, and we're going to insert our first player. I use File Place Embedded for this. You're going to go to wherever you have downloaded your player cutout images and I'm going to place the player. I'm going to leave them this size for now. We can adjust the size later. And we're just going to go then and delete the placeholder. We're going to do this for all of the players. Delete. So I have more players to place, but I'm out of placeholders. So we're just going to put in the rest of the players. And I have one more. I might put him in the first row here. Again, we can move all of these around in just a minute. Should you need a third row of players, or even 4 or 5, first you're going to go to your row 2 and duplicate it. Command J, Control J on a PC. Now you can see it says row 2, it's a copy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that row and I'm going to move it down to the bottom so that it's below the actual row 2. I'm going to rename it, double click, row 3. Now I need to nudge it up, so I'm going to hit Command T and drag it. And then you would just go back into these and put your remaining players in these spots and delete all of these placeholders. So now we have all of our players in here. However, there's a couple of things I'm noticing, like we've got lacrosse sticks in front of people. This guy has black sweats on. We might want to move him to the second row. To do that, I would just first drag him. And so now he's in the second row, but he's still in this row 1. So we actually do want to take him from the row 1 group and move him into the row 2 group. And that'll become clear in a minute why that's really important. And then we're going to need to take someone from the row 2, because there's now too many in the row 2. Drag him down, and then he's highlighted, so that's that layer, and drag him into row 1. See, now his stick is in front of that player. We want to drag him down to the bottom. And then we'll drag this guy over, and now his sweats are hidden. So it still needs some work, obviously. This stick is going to have to be put behind someone. And the other thing here is for lacrosse. This over here, I know, is the goalie. So we're going to put him in the middle. We're going to take this guy behind him, and we'll move him over there. And now, see, the stick is behind this player. That's because this one is in the number 1 position in row 1, and this guy's underneath. So he'll always be behind. And they all look pretty good for size. So then in row 2, we're We're going to try, since there's 6 in row 2, we'll try to place them kind of in between. That's looking pretty good. So it's kind of small. They're kind of small for the whole picture. So if you go actually to the team placeholder group, that's the whole team. And then Command T on a Mac, Control T on a PC, and you can just drag your player. And then probably want to move them down. See, right now their feet are kind of, you can kind of see their feet. Want to hide their feet a little bit more in that fog. I probably, in this case, would take the row 2. That's that whole group. That's why it's really important to make sure that your row 2 players are actually in your row 2 group. So I'm going to take this row 2 and nudge them up a little bit. I'm going to hit V on my keyboard, which brings up this move tool, and then use my arrow key, up arrow key, and just drag it up a little bit. What we're doing here is we're going to insert this into the memory mate. So if we go back to the memory mate and look at it, it's already got all of the mascot and school name stuff in it. We probably don't want to put that back into the memory mate. It would just look too busy. So in this particular template, they're all in one group, school, mascot, and logo. So if you select that group and just hit that eyeball, it'll turn all of that off, and then you have just a nice neutral background. Let's go ahead and change this text. Double click. Check mark to commit your change or click anywhere. We're almost done here. The last thing we want to do is get rid of these little feet in the sky. We're going to go into our team placeholder. We're going to go to row 2, and there's this white box. This is called a layer mask. We're going to click on it. And we're going to go over to our brush selection. We want to make sure that it's a soft, round brush, and the hardness here is set to 0. You don't want it 100, you want it at 0. You want the opacity at 100, and you want the color of the brush to be black. If your brush is not black, you can hit D on your keyboard. That sets it to the default colors. And if you still don't see the black on top, if the white's on top like that, you can hit X. So now that we have our brush, I have an X here. I can't see how big my brush is. That's because I have my caps lock on. This happens a lot when making these because a lot of time we're typing in all caps. Turn your caps lock off. Now you can see how big your brush is. If your brush is way too big, I mean, it's about right for me, but if your brush is way too big or small, I use the bracket keys on my keyboard. The right bracket makes it bigger, and the left bracket makes it smaller. And then you just start brushing. And just kind of brush away wherever you see feet. And then what I do, just to double check, is I turn it off, turn it back on. Oh, see right there, there's some more feet. Don't want those. My brush is going a little bit slow because I have my flow way down. If I crank up my flow to 100, it'll erase quicker. There's a little foot right there. Really hard to tell with all these lacrosse sticks. So from here, we just need to transport all of this info over into our memory mate. But we don't want to do it by just copying each of these layers over, because that would make this file over here huge, and it's just real cumbersome that way. So we're going to do something called flattening the image. I'm going to go to the top here, and then I'm going to hit Command Option Shift E on my Mac, Control Alt Shift E on your PC, and it makes this flat layer, which is nice. And we're just going to hold on to it and drag it. I'm holding down my left mouse this whole time, and I'm going to let it go. And where did it go? Well, it's over here. You can see it because we placed it in this right layer, but we can't actually see the contents because we have this gray placeholder on top. So we can just turn that off, or you can even just delete it. You don't really need it anymore. Now we have our team, but it doesn't fit. So we need to transform it. Command T, Control T on your PC, drag, and drag it into place. If I make it a little big, see it's a little bit bigger now than the frame, and I let go, hit enter, you can still see the frame. Now that's because we have this little black arrow called a clipping mask. It's clipping this team layer to this layer below, so you'll always be able to see the frame, no matter how big you make your picture. In this case, I think it's a little too big because the Rocky Mountain Varsity Lacrosse is way at the bottom. So I'm just going to Command T and then drag it up a little bit. I'm actually using my arrow keys just to fine tune it. That concludes the tutorial for how to insert your team into your memory mate. I hope that you found this tutorial useful. Happy creating.